within the circuits of those past experiences, and they feel chemically within the boundaries of those emotions. And the stronger the betrayal, the stronger the trauma, the more the body's living in the past, right?
Crazy.
So how do you reverse that? So now, if you truly got passionate about a future, we've all done this. You get a wild idea in your mind and you start holding on to that vision and you're preoccupied with it. All of a sudden, the thought in your mind becomes the experience and you start feeling the energy of the future. Now, the stronger the emotion you feel from that vision, the more you're going to pay attention to the picture in your mind, and now you're remembering your future.
And vice versa, the stronger you pay attention to the feeling of the past pain, you're going to create the pain in this moment.
Exactly. So it requires a coherent brain, and we now know that there's a formula for that, and we've got beautiful research to show that people can do it. They just have to practice. And it requires a coherent heart, because resentment, frustration, impatience physical evidence to look like the event has already occurred. It's quite possible you'll be thinking neurologically within the circuits of your future, and you'll begin to feel chemically within the boundaries of that emotion of your future. And how you think and how you feel is your state of being. And now your state of being is living in the future instead of the past. Now, the moment you disconnect from the emotion of your future because of traffic or some coworker or your ex or whatever people come up with, now you're back to the energy of your past. And now you're going to start looking for it, analyzing, why hasn't it happened? Well, if you're feeling the emotion of your future, why would you look for it? Because you would feel like it already happened. And that is the place where the magic happens. So then you can't just do this, get up and then return back to your old state of being. You got to maintain that modified state of mind and body.
When life happens?
Well, let me finish.
I punch you in the face right now. How do you maintain?
Well, of course. I mean, we all take blows in our lives, and we all react emotionally. But the question is, how long are you going to react?
Right.
So then, if you can't mediate and regulate your emotional reactions, and those emotions linger for days, that's
years for some people.
Mood, and then months, temperament, years, personality trait. So then the person's personality is literally based on the past. But they don't know that because they're doing it over and over again. And it becomes a subconscious program. So now, if it requires a coherent brain and a coherent heart, then we have to train people how to self-regulate. So we've done thousands and thousands of measurements. We've partnered with the HeartMath Institute to teach people how to create and sustain heart coherence.
How do we do it?
Well,
besides going to your workshop, what's the simplified version? I'm sure it takes more time than...
Well, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. It just requires getting still, closing your eyes, putting your attention on your heart, changing your breath so that you move into the present moment. And when you slow your breathing down, you slow your brain waves down. When you slow your brain waves down, now you're accessing your autonomic nervous system. So then you train a person how to open their heart and feel an elevated emotion. And it takes a little practice. And just like a flower that takes time to bloom, it takes a little bit of time. But if you work in trading the resentment, the frustration, or the impatience for gratitude, appreciation, and thankfulness, and you keep at it, there'll come a moment where that system switches on. And now you're feeling grateful for no reason at all. Now, that's not a bad thing, because gratitude, the emotional signature of gratitude, means something's happening to you. Something has happened to you. You're receiving something, or you just received something. So your body then, when you're feeling gratitude, is in the perfect state of receiving. So then that means then you'll accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to the emotional state of gratitude. If you're living in resentment, you're living in fear, you're living in impatience, you could say, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, and with all you want, and that thought's going to stop right at the brainstem and never make its way to the body, because the body's
not feeling it, or because why?
Because you're feeling resentment, and that thought is not consistent with the emotion of resentment. Resentment has a different set of thoughts, right? In other words, once you start opening your heart, it begins to move into coherence. It begins to produce a measurable magnetic field up to 3 meters wide. Now that's frequency, that's energy. And all that energy, that frequency carries information, carries an intent. So then when you're feeling gratitude and your heart is open, you're broadcasting energy into the field. Now,
frequency,
a frequency, you lay the intent of the thought of your health or your wealth. That frequency can carry the thought of your wealth. It can carry the thought of your health. If you're suffering, suffering does not carry, that energy does not carry the thought of your wealth. It carries a different set of thoughts. So then we're teaching people how to self-regulate, because if you're going to believe in that future that you're imagining with all of your heart, it better be open and activated.
Right.
And you better know how to self-regulate. And you have to know the moment you disconnect from the energy of your future because of some circumstance in your life and you lose that feeling, if you're practicing it on a daily basis with your eyes closed, then the next level is to be able to open your eyes and do it right in the moment and be able to self-regulate and change the frustration from some experience in your life back to the energy of your future. Now, that requires great awareness and great effort. But if you have a community of people that are practicing this on a daily basis and they're connected to their future.
All righty. How's everybody doing? God is good. Today is a wonderful day. I just wanted to play a little bit of Joe Dispenza's ideology or teachings or lecture, just so you get a background to who Joe Dispenza is. I think the man has a beautiful model of rewiring and refiring the brain. And like I shared last time on part one of this series, Joe Dispenza is big on mindset and mind power and how you can use the mind to heal every area, every part of the body, every aspect, both physical body, emotional and spiritual, and every aspects of the body. Anyways, I'm gonna play one more video. This is Dr. Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer just kind of hits the ball out of the park. It's a home run hit with his lecture. It's about a 10-minute lecture, but I'll probably intercept in between the video and share something very, very profound about his teachings. It's a beautiful way to start your life by knowing exactly what is going on, taking control. Let me turn this audio down so I can get to what I want to play real quickly.
Stop
okay, this
watching YouTube videos thinking you're going to be
just
rich.
An ad.
You want to make $1,000
Let's
a
go
day.
to the video.
Something into your life.
Okay, I'll pause this for a second. Okay, let's do this. Share screen. The video I want to play is Wayne Dyer. Is that the right one? I think so. Let's see. All right, how do I work this thing again? Let's see. Let's see. This is not what I want to play. I want to play. One second. I'll figure this out in a sec. Yeah, let's go to this, and let's see.
Something good, something grand, something godlike, something prosperous, something of well-being, health, whatever it might be.
Yeah, that's the video I
If
wanna
you
play.
want to attract that into your life, but you're talking about what's missing and thinking about what's missing, and you understand that what you think about is what expands, you will continue to expand more of what's missing. And
Okay, real quick. So just listen to what Wayne Dyer is saying here. This man really breaks it down. But before I play that, let me see who's on the line with us. Hey, Satu's Doris. All right, I'm connected to both YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So when I'm looking at different directions, I'm just looking at different cameras. As a matter of fact, I'm connected to 4 sources. I'm broadcasting this on 4 different channels. So yesterday, not yesterday. That was 2 days ago. We talked about how to start your day, how to condition your mind when you start your day. So how I start my day, I focus on what I want. I focus on positive things, on manifesting, or if I say manifesting, I focus on what I want and not what I do not want. Big difference. Where your focus goes, attention expands, and where your focus goes, it increases. Your energy increases. You draw energy into whatever you focus on. So if you start your day focusing on problems, focusing on hardships, focusing on lack of rent, of lack of money, or lack of on any lack. If you start your day focusing on any lack, that you're already defeated. You've already lost your power to manifest and to draw positive things into your life. So it's a very big part of your day, how you start. So you want to start, first thing you want to give gratitude, because when you give gratitude, you attract. That means you're grateful for receiving something, right? Gratitude is basically just giving thanks for receiving something, is living in a state of appreciation and a state of knowing that you are receiving from the divine, from God. You appreciate where you are, and you appreciate what is in store for you. It's the whole thing about mindset. It's about taking charge of your thoughts. One good way to really be okay. One good way to really, I'm just trying to put these words there, right? I mean, I wanted to come out the way I'm thinking about it. Okay. One good way to take control, that's what I want to say. One good way to take control of your world, of your life, is being conscious of everything you say every day. If you take a pen and a notebook and take note of all the words you're speaking into your life when you start your day, at the end of the day, it's a good way to really assess the kinds of things you're saying about your life, the kinds of whether positive or negative. But just be conscious of what you're saying, and you find out that if you are not conditioning your mind to keep it positive, to keep it, speaking things that you want, things that are good and positive and empowering into your life, this mind can easily run away, like a runaway train, like a train out of control. The mind has to be controlled. The mind has to be, you have to be aware. I guess that's the main word. You have to be aware of what you're speaking into your future, because every word that you speak has power and creates your world. Because our world is a total reflection of our what? Thoughts, feelings, and action. All right, let me play Wayne Dyer, and he puts it in a very, very beautiful way. Let's see, is this the right screen? Right screen. Okay, Wayne Dyer. No, I don't want to remove it. I almost pushed the wrong button. All right, let's do this.
You'll continue to attract what's missing in your life. I never talk about what's missing in my life. I only put my attention on what I intend to create. And I have shifted it. And I learned this lesson a long time ago, but the place that it probably expresses it better than any is Esther and Jerry Hicks' book, Ask and It Is Given. The teachings of Abraham is called Learning to Manifest Your Desires. Have more than anything, I think they're the greatest, among the really greatest teachings on the planet today. And I know Esther and Jerry, I know them well. I've been with them on many occasions. It's about practicing this idea of not putting your thoughts on what is missing and shifting it to, it's on its way. It's on its way. It's on its way. 4 words, just get them tattooed someplace inside of you. Whatever it is that you would like to attract into your life, know that it's on its way. And I want to say to you that as you begin to get your thought.
What is one business that can survive any economic recession or, well, pandemic?
It's more harmonized with Tao thinking, that is, with the thinking of the source, the thinking of God, that which always has been, that which does nothing but leaves nothing undone. As you begin to more and more harmonize in this way, what happens is that you start elevating your thoughts so that the habit of how you think becomes more harmonized rather than a polarity with what you want to attract. It becomes harmonized with it, and it becomes your natural way of how you think all the time. And you start then beginning to teach your children the same way of thinking. So you just catch them when they start saying things like, oh, with my luck, it won't work out. Why have any of us ever learned to say, with my luck, and having it mean things aren't going to work out? Why wouldn't you say, and just have it as your habit, with my luck, it'll probably show up faster than it normally does? Why not have that kind of a way? Because here's what happens. As you begin to shift the way that you think and have an anticipation that this thing is going to work out for you, you can only act upon your thoughts. And as you get these higher and higher thoughts, what happens is that the thought is now more aligned with what it is you want to attract, and then you start acting upon that thought. And as you start acting upon the thought that it will work out, that it's probably on its way, you start to see how this whole system all works. In other words, call it the universe, whatever you want, begins to conspire with you. It begins to act almost where you suddenly become a collaborator with fate. And instead of fate being something that just might or might not happen to you, you're in collaboration with what it is that you want to attract. I mean, ask any physician, there's physicians here today, ask them about something called the will to live. Ask them about somebody who's going in for a corneal transplant and thinks that I'm going to see when this thing is done, rather than someone who thinks it probably won't work out. And which one would they rather work with? What is this thing called the will to live? What is this thing, this inner kind of thing that says, I refuse to allow myself to think? I say to my mother, who's 90 years old, almost 91 years old. I was with her for the last 5 days, every day, all morning long with her. And she's been going through some difficulties and so on. Most of you saw her on the PBS show.
Okay, real quick, I want to share something here. This is a very, very good example Okay, good. This is what I wanted to say real quick. You know, what we say really affects what happens to our life or the results that we get in life. A good example, this happened at my place of work. I see patients, and I start IVs. I had a patient last week that had a difficult IV of veins to start an IV. She's about to take to do a nuclear medicine stress test, cardiac stress test. So last week, it took me a while to start the IV. So this week, you know, I saw this patient twice before. I saw her on Monday, and she had a test. So she was going to have the second part of her test today, Thursday. So on Tuesday, I saw her. On Monday, I saw her. And all the things she kept saying was, you know, I have difficult veins. You know, I have difficult veins. I hope it's not going to take you too long to start the IV, blah, 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 blah. And I had another coworker that was like, oh boy, you know, XYZ is going to be having her test. I hope, you know, it's not going to be difficult to start her vein. No, well, that's not. She said, you know, she's a difficult stick. So what I said, I never entertained the thought of her IV was going to be so difficult and so hard for me to start. I kept telling myself, my self-talk was, it's going to be great. I'm going to have a good time starting her IV. And my self-talk was also not to think about the future in a negative term by you know, closing up the possibilities of starting the IV easily on this patient. I kept telling myself, I'm not going to worry or be bothered about a difficult vein. When I get there, we'll deal with it. So my self-talk, I kept talking to myself and telling myself this, you know, even, okay, today when I was going to start the IV, I got to take all the things to start the IV, and I pulled 2 needles. And that voice in my head was like, okay, so you're pulling 2 needles. That means there's a chance you're not going to start the IV on the first stick. So I'm like, okay, no, I'm not going to do this. I put the second needle down, and I had to go start the IV with 1 needle, meaning I was going to give it 1 try, 1 chance, 1 stick, start the IV, right? So I go there to start the IV, you know, and miraculously, like magic, call it whatever you want, I saw a vein that I never saw last week when I started this lady's IV. So the IV that I started today, the vein that I started the IV on, was was there all of a sudden, you know, and I'm like, wow, this thing does work. It does work because I did not mess up my day, my IV start experience, by making all this negative vision in my head, by believing, you know, the mind that tells you it's not going to be easy, it's going to be hard. I don't want to say her name, XYZ has a difficult vein. So I had to talk to myself, tell myself over, and each time that idea or that thought, each time that idea or that thought comes to my head, I just cancel it. I refuse it. I reject it. I did not speak it. You know, so basically I did not create, you know, that difficult experience, or that the fact that starting the IV was going to be a challenge. I did not entertain that thought. And so that way I created, you know, a beautiful IV today. So self-talk is very, very important. What we say to ourselves, how we say what we say to ourselves means a whole lot to the kind of results that we get on a daily basis. All right, I'm going to continue with Wayne Dyer, and I'm going to come back with a couple more, one more example of how this thing, works and how it worked in my life.
If you saw the inspiration, when she was ready, she would leave, and life looked like from 60 down diseases that are so much age related, as do people who think of old as infirm and declining throughout their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. That you change the way you believe about.
Okay, I'm going to forward this a little bit. So, okay, let's go.
I've translated all of that into your own level of leadership. And the great leaders are the ones who eschew violence. You have got to get yourself to a place where you don't allow yourself to have violent thoughts come into your consciousness. That means you got to watch the movies you're watching. That means the games that your children are playing, video games, have got to be monitored and removed when they have violence built into them. It means that you don't watch the news and you don't read the stories, endlessly reaffirming what a terrible place this world is. It is not a terrible place. It's a perfect place. It's a beautiful place. There are just some leaders who are connected to Tao and others who are not. And we can create the kind of world that we want to create when enough of us begin to say, not part of my consciousness. Nope, I don't buy gossip. No, I don't buy violence. No, I don't have anything to do with that. And you just turn the channel, you turn it off. I pick up a Time magazine when I get on a flight, and I go through and I say, I won't read the stories that involve killing. I won't read this. I don't need to hear any more about any more people blowing themselves up. I don't need to continue to have that as a part of my consciousness, because I want to be someone who radiates out God-realized thinking. That's what I want to do. And I can't do that if I'm constantly being imbued with that. So I just go through the pages, and usually I say, oh, just threw away another $4.95. There's nothing in it to read. Every once in a while, good story about maybe Tiger Woods or something, but by and large, there's not much in there. And you don't have to fill yourself with that kind of energy. So you don't put your thoughts on what's missing. You don't put your thoughts on what always has been. You don't put your thoughts on what others want for you, unless you want more of what others want for you to continue to show up into your life. So that if you're having conflicts with anybody that's out there, you don't have to put your attention on any thought that is out of harmony with the relationship that you would like to have. It doesn't have to be. You can have a love story replace a hate story by just changing your thoughts in any moment of your life. As you'll see, some of you will see it this afternoon, as Katie works with some of you and does the work and teaches you to ask yourself these questions about how can you be sure? How can you be sure that that thought is true? Why not have a love relationship with your ex-husband or your ex-wife? Why not have a love relationship with your in-laws? Why not? Why not have it with everyone on the planet? Why not? Indeed, why not? Every moment of your life, this choice is yours. You can either be a host to God or a hostage to your ego. It's your call. God bless you, and thank you for your attention.
Wow.
Namaste.
Wow. Okay. Definitely. This man just hit a home run. He hit it out of the park. So definitely this summed everything, that I'm talking about. Basically our thoughts control our feelings, and our feelings control our actions, and our actions controls our results. So the second example I was going to talk about was definitely I guess it's also related to work. When I drive to work, and you know how parking could be a problem in LA. So I always had this voice would come to my head and say, parking is, gonna be hard. You're not gonna find a spot because this place is so crowded, it's so congested. There's no parking spaces. So I started when that voice came, and I recognized that, okay, this is not what I want. I do not want to have difficulty finding a parking space, and I don't even want to think in those terms of not being able to find a parking space. So I started telling myself, I will find a parking space. So our thoughts create our reality. So out of the 100 times, let's say I went to work about 100 times, I was unable to find a parking spot maybe twice out of 100 times. So this goes a long way to, 1 second here, let me adjust this other camera. I guess we will, 1 second here, hold that thought. I'll have to fix this real quickly. Okay, anyways, let this roll. So basically, I found a parking spot every time because I changed the way I thought about finding a parking space. Instead of creating lack in my thinking, I started creating positivity. I started creating the fact that I will find a parking spot. And I started giving myself the self-talk. And it's like, it was always call it a miracle, call it a divine act, call it whatever you want. But every time I got to the parking area, either somebody was leaving, or somebody already left, or somebody just approaches me and tells me, okay, I will be leaving, give me one or 2 minutes. Always, I got that positive result of finding a parking spot. This happened over, I say 98% of the time. So definitely, we create our world based on how we think. We create our future based on the kinds of thoughts we have. Our world is definitely a reflection of our thoughts, feelings, and action. All right, definitely, this has been a good day. We've done about 32 minutes. I'm going to shut this down. You guys have a wonderful evening. God is good. So remember to always speak well of your day, speak well of your future. Focus on what you want and not what you don't want, not how difficult things are. Focus on how the possibilities, focus on the solutions. Always think and focus on the solution. That should be your mindset when you wake up. Condition your mind to be on the positive side, and that's what you'll attract to you. These things are just, it is simple. We say it and we make it seem like it's so hard. It's not hard. It's a universal law of the universe. What you attract to you is what you put out. What you put out with your words is what you attract into your life. God bless. Have a wonderful evening. And people on Instagram, God bless. People on Facebook, God bless. People on YouTube, God bless. Have a wonderful evening. Remember, if this means anything to you, if it's blessed you positively, if it helped to affect your thinking positively or your mindset, please share. And even if it didn't affect you positively, share, because it might affect somebody you share it to. Somebody you send this video to might be of a blessing to them. So share this video, invite family and friends. We're going to be doing Tuesdays and Thursdays live video every Tuesday and Thursdays. And have a wonderful, blessed rest of your day. God bless. This is Ike signing out. All right, I'll take care of that.